Juanita Nathan, thank you for joining us today. You are a school board trustee right now for Ward 7 and 8 in Markam.
That's right.
And you are running again. And so tell us why you have decided to run again, or you would be interested in this position.
Of course. I'm a youth outreach worker, as you know. I work in Scarborough for an agency called Youth Link. It's a children's mental health agency working with youth 12 to 21. I do a lot of programming inside the schools, in the community, for the youth and the parents. I also work in York Region for Family Services of York Region as a domestic abuse counselor. So through my work, I have done a lot of advocacy for students and their parents with the school board. Originally in 2010, when Nathan decided to move to Scarborough, he was casually having a conversation and suggesting that it would be a valuable position for me to run in because it fits in quite well with the work that I do. I really see this position as an extension of my work. The policies and whatever that I do at the board level, I could see how it affects students and parents on the ground. It's very rewarding, and it's whatever initiatives that I before wanted to do in schools. As a school board trustee, it's easier to implement a lot of these work. So that's why I was running at that time, because I thought it would be a good fit. And but they said at that time it was only a 20-hour commitment, which they lied. It really isn't. It's like all 7 days kind of work. You're on call all the time when parents call you. And I'm running again because I realized there's a lot of things that I could do for the community, for all the community that live here. And like when you're in a position, there's a lot of learning that you have to do. The learning curve is so huge. And for you to effectively do work, you need to really be in a position for more than one term. So a lot of the things that I've learned, I wanted to maybe put it into practice and actually see the results. So I want to run again so that I could be more effective.
Okay. Usually we see people from a business background getting into politics. You come from a social work background. Can you tell us how somebody from a social work background can be a great politician and why?
Of course. So being a politician, I think it's being a glorified social worker because you're working for the people. You're not the boss of anyone, and they're really electing you to be their representative, so to serve them, really, right? So a social worker could really do this effectively because this is what they've been trained to do. As opposed to be a doctor becoming a politician, a lawyer becoming a politician, they'll speak great. I think they'll stand up at the parliament and be able to question things, but effectively working with people to deliver what people really want, I think a social worker would be more effective.
Let's get into a little bit about the school system and how the communities are functioning and what's in place right now. If you see right now, Canada embraces multiculturalism, especially in the province of Ontario, GTA. So a lot of ethnic groups are allowed to have schools that cater towards those ethnic groups or stuff like that. Do you think this is embracing multiculturalism, or it might be delaying the process of us becoming Canadian?
I think segregation is never good. Then again, it all depends on what those community values are. And usually, York Region District School Board has been really great in looking at equity and diversity and being very inclusive. We are the only board that actually have a superintendent and a department that's dedicated to equity and inclusivity. we do want to bring that lens into everything that we do, in terms of hiring, in terms of curriculum, anything and everything that has to do with the board. We wanted to look at that through an equity perspective. So in that sense, I think York Region District School Board is light years ahead of some of the other boards, I would say.
Okay. Let's talk about teaching religion at schools. Recently, there were some discussions on media regarding some parents being concerned that maybe religion should not be taught in schools. Maybe it should be something later and should be an option for students. And maybe schools should focus on mandatory courses that prepare children for university and college. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's about world religion. So they really learn a little bit about different religions. I think for a child to develop holistically, it may be important for them to learn a little bit about other people's values and where they come from, so they could better function as adults when they go into workplace and things like that. I don't think it's a bad idea for them to learn about other cultures and religions.
Okay. So there's always discussions about patriotism when it comes to Canada compared to the States. Are we patriotic enough or not? Is there anything that we can do at a school board level?
Actually, I was really thinking about that myself. One of the things I feel we could do really at school board level is, in the mornings every day they play O Canada.
Mm-hmm.
So even when I went to school here, what happened is there's a music that plays and people just stand up for it. They don't really sing it. I think it'll be good if they teach all the kids to sing with the music rather than playing a recorder or someone singing O Canada. If they could make it mandatory for kids to stand up and sing the national anthem of the country. Canada is made up of so many immigrant communities, and a lot of people really struggle to find find a place to fit in, right? So they sometimes feel like they don't belong here. Mm-hmm. There's a big struggle for that. So when you stand up and sing O Canada, you would learn the words as well as you would feel it more, I think. So maybe that's something that you could look into.
Okay. We come from a South Asian culture where a community that doesn't openly talk about sex in the families. Mm-hmm. And sex education is something that's taught in schools. So do you think it's being taught at the right age, or is it being taught too early or too late? What are your thoughts on that?
There's a lot of research that goes on in anything that they introduce in the school board level. So I'm sure that they've looked at what would be an appropriate age group to start talking about this. It's important for parents to know that if the school doesn't teach this, it doesn't mean that the kids are not learning it. They're going to learn it anyways. And they may learn it, they'll get the wrong information, or they'll learn it the wrong way. So it's better for them to properly be educated on it. It is part of your life. And just like any other life lessons, this should be part of their life. And I'm sure the schools are doing a good job teaching it in an appropriate way to the kids, usually in health classes.
Being a woman of color, what have your struggles been, especially being in a leadership role? And we come from communities that are very male dominated, and what were your struggles to trying to get to a position of leadership, and how did you overcome them?
I don't think being a woman of color would be an added barrier from being a woman, right? So even in, like we say that we come from a male-dominated society, I think the entire world is a male-dominated society. So even in the Western world, even if I'm not a woman of color, I would still have certain barriers, and the glass ceiling would always be there, I think. And especially in our community, becoming a politician or running for office and being actually elected, I think that's one of my biggest achievements. I think the courage and the support that I've had from my family and friends to actually help me to take that path.
If there's a Tamil candidate running and a non-Tamil candidate running, who would you vote for?
Depends on their capabilities. When I go to vote, I don't vote based on Tamil or non-Tamil. I look at their capabilities, what have they done, are they suitable for this position, would they deliver? Because especially in municipal level, in school board, you want to be able to elect someone who could actually deliver, because it would directly impact you. Mm-hmm. So it's important that people vote for capable and credible candidates.
Well, we come from a community that waited so long for change to happen, especially from a political view. So do you think when candidates run here, and especially a person like you who's already been in Canadian politics for 4 years, do you think the community expects when somebody from our community enters Canadian politics that change will happen overnight? And is there disappointment?
I would say yes. Because of what our community has gone through, I'm talking specifically about the Tamil community, they always look at every single person entering politics as their hope and savior. So naturally they have those expectations, and our community, the world right now, the way the pace that it's moving in, everyone wants immediate gratification. So waiting for something to happen it's not heard of. And especially to make changes, like system-wide changes in boards such as ours, would take a long time. And people also forget that you are a representative of the community that, or that riding or ward. So it's not only one community that you're representing, right? So you're representing all communities across. But as a Tamil person and background, and because there are a large number of Tamil persons living in the ward, of course that I would be looking out for that and see how I could better serve my community. That would probably come naturally to me. So in that sense, I do get calls and I do ask people, parents, usually during January when we celebrate Tamil Heritage Month, they'll ask us, can we do things in Tamil here, there, whatever. And whatever accommodations the board can make, we have done that in the past. But sometimes I think they expect you to do so much, and whatever you're doing is not to their expectations, so there is disappointments as well. But that education also has to happen. Like, what are the limitations of politicians? They also have limitations. They're serving you, and they're also serving other people. So what are their limitations, and what is the capacity of their role? And in their role, can they do that? And compare to, like in the world stage, where do you stand, right? And what can you do? And even as a country, Canada has limitations to what it can do because it's not a major player in the world politics. So no matter how, what party or ruling party, or if you get elected to politics, you're going to have your limitations. You cannot do miracles.
So thank you so much, Juanita, and we wish you all the best on October 27th.
Thank you.